everyone, this is Tony Beers for Toxic Pop News. In this episode, we will be reacting to Mattel's DC Multiverse reveals at San Diego Comic-Con 2017. Most of the reveals were from the Justice League movie. Frankly, I have not liked most of the recent DC movies. And part of the reason I don't like the films is because I don't like the costumes of the characters. But that's not Mattel's fault, so I'm going to be as objective as possible. First up is Superman from the Steppenwolf wave. This figure is pretty much the same figure that came with Batman vs. Superman wave. That can be either good or bad. It's bad for the people who already have that figure and want to build Steppenwolf, but it's good for the people who missed out on that original figure. The sculpt is good for the most part. It has a lot of sculpted detail on his costume and it has a lot of texture on the costume. But that head does not look like Henry Cavill to me. The paint looks good. It has nice shiny metallic blues, nice reds and golds. The cape is cloth, and again, there are positives and negatives to both a cloth and plastic capes. A cloth cape usually doesn't hinder their articulation, but it can't be posed and often doesn't look realistic. In this case, I think it would be fine, but that's my opinion. The articulation seems to be decent, but it doesn't seem to have an ab crunch. Its only accessories is the piece of Steppenwolf, but Superman often doesn't need accessories. So I'm sure a lot of people will be pleased with this figure. Next is Wonder Woman. Again, this figure looks to be the same as the previous figures from Batman vs. Superman and the Wonder Woman movie waves. So the same downfalls and advantages of the Superman figure apply. Nice sculpt, nice paint, decent articulation. The face sculpt is a decent likeness to Gal Gadot, better than the Henry Cavill figure, but not perfect. She comes with a sword and lasso, and they look nice. She's wearing a harness to store her weapons, but it looks kind of clunky. But I'm sure people will want this figure. Next is Batman. I believe they call this the tactical suit Batman. Finally, we get a 100% new figure. This is the best looking figure in this wave, in my opinion. Like Superman, he has a cloth cape, so the same positives and negatives apply. The sculpt looks great with a lot of detail and texture. Since half of his head is covered, the likeness is not a big issue, but he definitely has that Ben Affleck chin. Other than the collect and connect piece, he doesn't come with any accessories. A Batarang or something else would have been nice. They had another Batman figure on display. He had a more normal look for Batman, and he looked good for what they were going for. He will probably be coming in another wave in the future. I'm sure fans will really like both figures. Next is the Flash. Frankly, in my opinion, this is the ugliest costume. It looks like a black leotard with red junk stuck to it with string. But that's what it looks in the movie, so I can't fault Mattel for that. It's very well sculpted for what they were going for. There is a lot of detail and texture. The likeness is fairly well done. The paint looks good. Other than the collect and connect piece, he doesn't come with any accessories. That's kind of strange since many Mattel Flash figures come with at least a lightning effect, but that's not a big deal. And since this is the first Flash movie figure from Mattel, I'm sure many people will want him. Next is Rob Zombie. I mean Aquaman. Tell me he doesn't look like Rob Zombie. Like the other figures, the sculpt and paint look great for what they're going for. He comes with a trident, which is sculpted well, but is unpainted. Like Batman, another version of Aquaman was shown at the con. This is the shirtless, barefoot version with tattoos and should come in a future wave. I'm sure there are a lot of people excited about both figures. Next is Megatron. I mean Cyborg. I call him Megatron because he looks very similar to the Michael Bay Transformers. Just a bunch of metal stuck together with a vaguely humanoid form. Again, this is not Mattel's fault, but that's how he looks in the movie. Having said that, the sculpt is well done for what they were going for. From what I can tell, the actor's likeness is sculpted well. I've never seen the actor in anything, so it's hard for me to say how accurate the likeness is. There seems to be very little paint, but what little it has seems to be applied well. The red in the center of his chest is darker and it fades out as it goes further from the center, so it gives the effect as if it is glowing. Other than the Steppenwolf piece, he also comes with an alternate hand which looks like a weapon of some kind, probably his classic sonic cannon. It is also painted to look like it is glowing. Like Batman and Aquaman, they also showed a second cyborg figure, which the only difference seems to be his head and shoulders. So it seems that it will be coming in a later wave. The Collect and Connect figure in this first wave is, as I said, Steppenwolf. He does not look like the classic green costume Steppenwolf or the Superpowers red Steppenwolf. With his large horns on his head, he looks like an armored demon. At least he looks more intimidating than Ares from the Wonder Woman movie. Like most of the figures, his sculpt is very detailed and has a lot of texture. Unfortunately, his hands have a different skin color than his face, and they look too big. He comes with an axe that looks cool. To get him, you will have to collect the full wave or try to buy him on the secondary market. Next is Mira. She is not in this wave, so she will be in an upcoming wave. In my opinion, her costume is the most comic accurate. She has a green scale armor and a tiara. She has a lot of detailed sculpt in her armor. She comes with a second pair of alternate hands with water effects coming from them. She looks like a great figure. Next is the movie Parademon. This one looks cool. I like the green used on this figure, although I doubt the green will be as bright in the movie. Like the other figures, it has a lot of sculpted detail and texture. He comes with a cool looking gun. I could see a lot of fans army building this figure. Next was a wave of basic figures. These are 6-inch scale figures with less articulation, less paint, a lower price, and are aimed toward children. What's interesting is that their Parademon is more gray than green, which is probably more movie accurate. If fans like to army build the Parademons, these basic figures may work as drones and the Multiverse Parademon figures as generals. Speaking of army building, they also showed an Atlantean soldier, which can also work as a drone soldier in the background in a display. Next, they showed Barbie figures of Mira and Wonder Woman. For those of you who collect this scale of doll, they look great. After the con, Mattel released pictures of more DC Multiverse figures. These are all comic-based figures. First, they showed Wonder Woman in her rebirth costume, which looks very similar to the movie costume. As a classic costume guy, this figure does not interest me, but I'm sure some people will love it. Next is Vixen. She looks good. While it's not her classic costume, the figure looks nice. Unfortunately, most of the details look painted rather than sculpted. I really like the face sculpt on this figure. Overall, it's a good looking figure. Next is Gaslight Batman. This is basically Batman if he existed in the Victorian era, or a steampunk style Batman. For the fans who like that look for Batman or enjoyed the storyline, I'm sure you will like this figure. Next is Bizarro. I like the look of this figure. I love that he has glasses, a torn sports jacket, and tie to simulate the look of Clark Kent. And it's hilarious that his cape sticks out beneath the jacket. I hope that these accessories are removable. We know that he comes with a removable Bizarro #1 medallion and a pair of flying hands. This is my favorite figure in this wave. Next is the Ray. He looks very accurate to his comic appearance, and he is very 90s with that jacket. The metallic gold looks very good on this figure. I'm sure there are fans that will love it. Next is the Simon Baz Green Lantern. I'm not a fan of this character. For one thing, he would often carry a gun with him. It never made sense for a Green Lantern to carry a gun when they just could use their powers to create one. At least this figure doesn't come with one. Also, he was a car thief. Anyway, with my bias aside, it's a decent looking figure and I'm sure some people would love to have it. Finally, the Collect and Connect figure is Lex Luthor in his rebirth costume. Again, as a classic costume guy, this is an easy skip for me. I prefer Lex in a purple and green armor or in a business suit. But honestly, this figure does look kind of cool. His armor has a lot of detailed sculpt and texture. So, that's it for Mattel's DC Multiverse reveals at San Diego Comic-Con 2017. What is your favorite figure reveal? What figure would you like to see in the future? We have more San Diego Comic-Con videos coming, so subscribe to see more. I'm Tony Beers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This video is sponsored by the Crazy Kings of Toys. Check them out for all your toy needs and find out why they are so crazy. Find them on eBay, Bricklink, and Facebook. Links are in the description. For more Toxic Pop, visit our website at toxicpop1.wixsite.com/toxicpop. Email us at toxicpop1@gmail.com and check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/toxicpop1 and Instagram at instagram.com/wearetoxicpop. Links are in the description.